Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome to our very first look at the TFDI design MD-11. Now, before starting this video, I want to say thank you very much to one of my viewers who insisted on remaining anonymous for gifting me his copy of the MD-11. Now, he did not want his name to be mentioned over here, but rest assured, thank you very much for gifting me your copy. Alright, now from here on, this is going to be my very first flight on the TFDI MD-11. I do have some previous experience with the PMDG MD-11 back in FSX, but that's been over 10 years ago, so rest assured that I am very new to the MD-11 as well. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and have a quick look on the outside check, and then we're going to fly it all the way from Louisville to Detroit. So, let's start with a walk around, and we're going to start right down here on the nose wheel. Now, getting up close to the airframe, we can see the modeling on the nose wheel over here seems to be pretty good, with a lot of details in here. However, what we can also notice is that the textures still seem to be a little bit of a work in progress over here, and the nose gear doors don't seem to be animated at this moment. Now, when you're watching this, keep in mind this is the very first version of the Collector's Edition, so this has literally just entered beta, and this is considered an early beta at the moment. Alright, so continuing further around the airplane, on the side over here we've got the AOA probes. Let's have a look at those in a little bit more detail. This is what they do look like at the moment. Okay then, continuing down along the right side of fuselage, we've got the cargo door over here together with the static ports. If we get a little bit closer, unfortunately not too many details there on the static ports, but I can tell you one thing in advance: things are going to look quite different once we get inside the plane. So it looks to me like the outside model a little bit rushed, but looking at that on the engines, we have some black textures here instead of the turbine blades. So outside model may need a little bit further work, but I am very sure that TFDI is going to do exactly that. Right, so this is what the engine model looks like at the moment. Continuing further outbound, let's have a look at the leading edge of the wing, and I'm just about going to move up close over here so that you can get an impression of the visual quality of the model right up here. Alright then, moving further outbound, let's have a look at the lights located on the edge of the wing, and this is what it looks like right now. Still no 3D lights in there, but I'm sure that they are going to add those in the aftermath of the release. Alright then, moving a little bit further, let's have a look at the main landing gear. Again, level of detail over here. Did I just see the yeah, look at that cabling down there, and when I'm getting up closer, that is vanishing down here. So a little bit of detail that went missing, but apart from that, the model over here certainly does its job. Similarly, look at that, there the cable is, there it's gone. Okay, so something that they probably still have to work on. So first impression on the outside model now of this UPS MD-11 is that they have a pretty good general model of the plane, but some of the details still need to be worked on, which is quite to be expected at this early stage, keeping in mind that like 2 or 3 months ago they only went to their Discord to say that they had the first flyable version of the plane. So when watching this video, always keep in mind it is a rather early version of the plane, and it's certainly still considered to be in beta at the moment. Alright, now let's have a look at the inside, and I can tell you the cockpit looks really beautiful. So, welcome to the cockpit of the TFDI MD-11. We are just about going to hop into the captain's seat. Now let's have a look at the level of detail over here, which is really good. This is the inmost zoom that I can get to, and you can see nice level of dirt over here. Overall, some nice transitions of the colors, and it gives the plane a very used, but then again a very realistic look as well. For a good old lady of a freighter, that is what I'd expect her to look, and indeed that is what she looks like. So overall, very good modeling done on the inside of the plane over here. Also moving down towards the standbys, and just having a look over the panel, things are looking really, really good in the cockpit. When they get the outside model to the level of the inside model, then that is going to be a very, very good looking plane. Alright, so we've had our basic look around. Next up, let's have a quick look at the electronic flight bag that came with it. Now, there's a couple of options in here, like you can change between imperial and metric units, temperatures, and whether you want the extended range option or not. That is the one that's exclusive to the collector's edition copies. And your SimBrief username can be entered down here as well. However, at the moment it doesn't seem to be saved. So I enter it here, I hit save, go out, come back in, and it's gone again. In terms of system options, this is what we have available. And there is a couple of nice things in there. Like, for example, right now, you can see we've got the analog standby instruments up there. Like, UPS actually has them installed in their real aircraft. But let's have a look into the digital option as well. If we enable that, then all of a sudden we change this around live in the cockpit to the digital standby instruments. So that is quite cool to have over here. There's a lot of further options, some of which I'm going to show you over the course of the flight. But for now, let's go ahead and have a look into the last one. That's the performance option. And performance in this case, looking at what we got over here, does not refer to frame rate, like performance in terms of computer performance, but airplane performance. So you can see we can change the effectiveness of the D-rate options in there and the fuel CG control. Alright, from there on we've got a simple tab to load up a panel state. We've got a maintenance page, which however is not added to the EFB yet. Over to the services, we can add a nose weight, which is quite crucial for the plane not to tip over. So if you have a look at the plane, the cargo hold goes about until here. And if there's cargo back here but nothing up here, then the plane is just going to tip onto its back. There's a couple of very interesting videos of that out on the internet, so do have a look. And that's what that nose weight is for. Then we've got a ground power unit, we've got an air start unit, and we can put wheel chocks in place or remove them, and we can also control the doors from up here. Next up we got our charts, which is the Navigraph charts, more on that later. The performance tab isn't added yet, and finally we've got a rather simplified payload page up here that we can work with. So over here we can either choose the zero fuel weight of the plane, or we can just insert the cargo weight and the fuel weight, and that is how we can set the payload on the TFDI MD-11. At the moment, keep in mind, first version, rather simplistic, a lot of things that are not added yet, but then again, there's quite a bit in there already. Okay, so with that being looked at, let's go ahead and power the plane up. For that I'm going to use a checklist from TFDI directly. So let's go straight to the normal procedures checklist there. Okay, so we are basically done with the inside check, so let's go ahead and turn on the battery. And the first thing you'll notice looking at the overhead panel is, man, those switches all look the same. And indeed they do. So finding your way around the cockpit isn't quite easy. And for me as well, since I just got back to this airplane and I literally got it like an hour or two before I started recording this, well, rest assured, if I'm searching for a switch in this video, then I'm not pretending, it's real. Okay, but the battery is located right up here, so let's go ahead and switch that on. Also, we're going to turn on the external power over here. One thing you'll notice with the plane is that the sounds are still work in progress. For example, there's no switch sounds over here yet. Like, if I'm changing some stuff over here, you basically don't hear anything about it. That's due to be added with a future version. Alright, so also we can put those nav lights on, and then we can have a very quick look into the weight and balance over here, so that I can insert our SimBrief planned weights. So for this one we are going to go with a cargo weight of 91,000 pounds, and we're going to go with a fuel quantity on this one of 40,000. Alright, set payload. When that is done, we get this menu over here, and that looks quite good to me. So With this amount of cargo set, according to SimBrief, we should have an estimated zero fuel weight of 356,000 pounds. In here we're getting zero fuel weight of 234,300 pounds, but either way, it's I'm not sure which one is correct, whether it's SimBrief or whether it's the TFDI, so I'll just leave it at that, and I'm just going to use the numbers that we've got available in here. Okay, cool. So with that, our plane is basically loaded, so we can go ahead and carry out some of the pre-flight procedures in the plane now. So we're going to follow the standard panel scan, which is from the leftmost column, top to bottom, the middle, top to bottom, rightmost, top to bottom, and then we're going to do the main panel and finally the pedestal. Only thing I want to do over here is turn those lights off. Don't know why they're on by default, but I'm sure that's something they have on their scope. Alright, so starting up on the top over here, we are going to go ahead and cargo fire. Right, test is looking good. We're gonna turn on those, and the IRS can go to nav. And do note that that runs a second test. That is totally normal for the MD-11 to do. Okay then, going on from there. Flight recorder test button cannot be pressed over there. Further down to the cargo temperatures, we're gonna leave them as they are. In real world, you would get your load sheet, which would tell you if anything needed to be set in here. So we're just going to leave them where they are over here. Alright. So then we're going to go further down for the FADIC panel. Basically everything is out down there except for the engine ignition off light. So that's as it should be. Then moving on to the middle, we're getting up to the hydraulic panel down there. And on the hydraulic panel, we can do the hydraulic pressure test. It takes about a minute. So let's press that button. Let's see if it actually does anything. But not 100% sure on that. Okay, it still says selected hydraulic system manual. We don't want to have that, so if we just press that 2 times, here we go. Okay, and now with it in order, when we press the button, the test illuminates up there. Hydraulic pressure test in progress. Okay, so while that is in progress, we are going to move on to the next thing then, which is going to be the electrical panel. So again, on here we make sure the manual light is not actually illuminated, and from there the smoke and ELEC air source is in normal. That's over here. Moving over to the other side, let's turn the emergency power into the arm position, and the rest of it is dimmed. Okay, down to the air panel. Again, system is fully automatic in the MD-11. However, we do get some off indications over here, but we'll work on that in a few moments. Okay, so coming down to the fuel panel, we can do the fuel quantity test, even though I'm not 100% sure that that is implemented already. Oh, look at that. No, doesn't look like it really, but then again, I'm not too proficient on that MD-11 anymore, so if I'm talking nonsense on that one, then do let me know in the comments. Open for critique at any moment. Okay then, so also on here we are supposed to reset the fuel used, but I'm just about trying to see if I can actually find a button for that, and it doesn't really look like it. But I do remember that button was supposed to be somewhere up here, but, well, I suggest we haven't used any fuel yet, so it's probably going to be at 0 anyway. Okay then, so moving on to the third column on the overhead then, we can go all the way to the right over here. We can start up here with the engine APU fire test.
Engine 1 fire.
Alright, so let's start up that APU. I know I should have kept this one on a little bit longer, but let's be honest here, we don't need to listen to that for too long. Alright, so just out of curiosity, let me put the GPWS tab on and see what's gonna happen. Oh, okay. Doesn't look like that's simulated yet, but don't worry about it. Okay then, down here everything is basically done, and here's the fuel used reset button. Alright, perfect. So we found it, eventually. Cool, annunciator light test. Just making sure that all the bulbs are actually working everywhere. And that is looking quite good. Alright, cool. Then going on to the lights panel. Emergency lights gonna go to arm, and we can already switch the signs on. And that's it. Perfect. So, moving up to the glass shield panel then. We want traffic, data, and airports. But looks like there is no click spot here for the airports. Why is that? Does it work on the other side? Yeah. Over here it works. Okay, so, well, I suppose that click spot's gonna be added with a future version then. Right, we're gonna turn on the VORs, and then we can move on over here, but we'll do the flight guidance control panel once we are actually done setting up the FMS. Okay, cool, so that's what we're gonna do up here. Then moving down to the standbys, well, we can set that altimeter right now. I'm just using the B button for that. Okay, so over here, no, I didn't want to arm the spoilers, but auto brakes in takeoff, anti-skid, just press that button and then the anti-skid off light vanishes over here. Not 100% sure why. If I'm pressing it again, then the anti-skid off comes on, but it doesn't show anything in the switch. In any case, keep in mind it exists. Alright, so that's pretty much what we had to do up here. I wonder why those core lights are illuminated. Like, is there any reset for them that we need to press? Okay, anyway, doesn't matter. Weather radar, we'll turn on to a WXR. Transponder looking good as it is. In 2000, and then... why is that third FMS? Okay, it doesn't have click spots, so they probably just didn't simulate that yet. Alright, in any case, we are pretty much done over here, so let's go ahead and start with our FMS setup. So, this is like what we have over here, and we're going to start with just a quick look around. Over here's the maintenance panel, and can we do anything over here? Annunciated test, illuminates those, okay. Test pattern. Okay, just playing around with it. I know I'm probably not supposed to. Well, okay. So, let's go into the FMS and let's start our setup. We're in an MD-11F, and that is our operational operation program there. Database is current. Then let's go ahead and have a look at the second page. Okay, performance database data link not available. Yeah, that's fine for me. Let's go ahead and go to the flight init page. And that is where things are gonna get interesting for us anyway. So we are in St. Louis, KSDF. No, we're in Louisville, not St. Louis. Oh boy. Alright, and we're gonna fly at Detroit. That one I promise you. Alright, so DTW, here we go. And our alternate today is gonna be Chicago O'Hare, KORD. And our flight number is the UPS 1483, 1482, which is a real life service on this route. Cruising flight level 290, again, as per the real life. And the cost index, we're going to use 50. I don't know what UPS is using in real world on the MD-11s, and initialize IRS. Okay. On the second page, we could start inserting our weights now, but before we do that, let's go into the flight plan and start preparing this one. So, departure runway is going to be 35 right. And for the SID, we've got the strap 5 departure. Here we go, and we are just flying that one as strap, so nothing additional there. Okay, insert that. And from strap, we'll fly towards Delta Quebec November. So that's Delta Quebec November. Here we go. And then we can start setting up our approach in Detroit For now, I'm just going to enter the ILS to right, and en route we are going to check if there is anything else that we might want to correct. So ILS Zulu to right looks good to me. We'll have the Hannibal 3 arrival. Like that one. And we started from Tor. I like it. Hannibal 3, Tor. Welcome to the US. Alright, we don't need any of those further transitions, so this looks good to me. And we can remove the discontinuity as Delta Quebec November Tor is pretty much exactly what we have planned in the first place anyway. Okay then, with that done, let's quickly go to secondary, and we're just going to go for copy active, and that's all we need on here for now. And then back into the actual flight in it. Let's go to the next page, and now this particular airplane has all those where are they? Wind balance system. This one has it installed, so it's able to automatically sense its actual weight. So we're just going to accept those for today's departure. Pretty much like so. Maximum zero fuel weight 451.3. I suppose that's exactly what we have, isn't it? 451.8, okay. Well, 451.3, let's just trick it. Nope, not the landing. The zero fuel, please. Here we go. That looks good. Okay. So, we are just going to accept all the remaining data over here. And we don't take any ballast fuel with us on this one. Okay, cool. So, takeoff and approach. This is where things do get a little bit more interesting. We'll take 0 wind, 0 runway slope, and the temperature right now is 16 degrees centigrade. Welcome to the MD-11. You gotta write 16C up there so that it actually knows which units you are using. Flex takeoff, we'll just take something like 45 or so. Don't have a performance calculator for this one. And the packs are going to be on. And the flaps, we've got a dial flap selector in here, so you can see that we can actually choose a lot of different settings. But for this one, I'll just make my life simple, and I'm just going to go for a flap 10 takeoff. Like that. Okay, check or confirm V-speeds, so they're automatically calculated down here. And the only thing that I want to do with it is I'm going to change the acceleration altitude to 1,000 feet. Out of range, okay. Well, maybe 1,500, since we are at about 500 elevation here. Yeah, looks like that's accepted. Okay, so we're going to take 1,500. So takeoff speeds, we are simply going to accept 143, 161, and 174. Alright, so that should be our pre-flight FMS complete, but just to be on the absolutely safe side here, let's have a quick look into any of those manuals. But I do believe they don't actually give us an FMS manual with the product quite yet. Hopefully that's going to come for a future update. In any case, I do believe we are done with our FMS setup for now, so let's just go to flight plan on the right side and take off on the left side, and that should be about it. Just to have a look at the other pages that we've got a progress page down here, and that's interesting, level 350 it grips. No, don't expect that. And we also don't have 81,000 pounds of fuel. Okay, well, I suppose probably just doesn't do that properly on the ground, so we've got a NAVRAD page, pretty similar to the Airbus. And then we've got a fixed page, but I suppose we're going to start playing around with that a little bit later. Alright, so looks like our IRS alignment is actually complete yet, so let's just quickly go to the plan mode, have a quick look over everything we've got in here. That's our top of climb, I suppose. And top of descent. And then we've got our arrival over here. And finally our missed approach. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Perfect. So I'd say with that we are pretty much done with our pre-flight stuff. Just while I see it, we've got an ACARS button down here. Can we use that? No, nothing happens when I go on it. But that's fine. Alright, cool. So that is pretty much our pre-flight procedures completed now. So we want nav mode, we want profile mode, and we are going to set the speed bug to 174, which is our V2. Not 100% sure if that's correct, but I don't think I can find anything on that in the manual, so I'll just leave it at that. Alright, cool. So with that, we are pretty much ready to go. So let's go ahead and switch this one back to its standard display, which I believe is engine. Yeah, that looks familiar to me. Select ignition as required. We'll do that in a moment during the before start procedure. So I'd say we are pretty much done over here. Okay, cool. So let's do the before starting engine checklist. FMS, MCDU, initialized and checked. IRS, nav and aligned. Hydraulic panel, checked. Fuel panel, checked. Emergency light switch, armed. No smoking switch, on. Fire warnings, tested. Evac switch, where's that one? Over here, armed. Okay, auto flight control panel, checked. Lights out. Cabin pressure panel, and that is checked. Loads of lights on here. Wonder if that's supposed to be. What happens if we turn that thing manual and back to auto? Is that going to do anything? No, okay. Quite some lights on here, but we'll just keep it at that. Okay, APU power can go on, external power can go off. So, let's continue. So we've got the windshield anti-ice and defog. I suppose that is located over here. That's normal. Okay, glassy control panel checked. System display control panel checked. EIS and bugs are set. Stamper flight instruments checked. Gear handle down for green. Auto brake selector. RTO. Brakes and pressures. So that's set to park and checked. Slat flap handle is up and retracted. Breakout bar reset. I'm actually not 100% sure what that is. Gotta pass on that. Okay, throttles closed. Reverse levers down. Takeoff warning checked. Fuel switches off. VHF radios not gonna be used today. Weather radar off, and transponder is in 2000 and standby. Alright, before starting engine checklist complete. So let's go ahead and request GSX for our pushback. And it just crashes. Okay, well, I suppose in that case we'll have to start up on stand. Or is there a pushback option in here? Don't think there is. Well, we can start by closing those doors. Let's just click them and then we go outside, have a look. Right, doors are closing down. Looking good. Alright, cool. So, ground power unit, let's see. Yeah, can be disconnected. So disconnect that. And the parking brake is set, so the wheel chocks can be removed as well. Let's see one more time. GSX, nope, doesn't want to. Okay. Well, that's a pity, but I suppose we'll have to do with it. Okay, cool. So, when clear to push, we put the hydraulic aux pumps 1 on. That's the one down here, I expect. Okay, no light built into the switch, it seems. Can we see anything on here? Like if we go to the hydraulic page. Yeah, 180G, is that it? Well, let's find out. Just press the button again. It goes out, okay, perfect. So yeah, that is on now. And then we can turn on the beacon light as well, and with that we are ready to go. So what we're going to do is we are simply going to start up on stand. So engine ignition A is on. Then the start procedure is engine 3, 1 and 2 in that sequence. So I suppose that is what we are going to do. All right, so we're going to start with engine number 1. Bring up the engine page over here. We've got N2 increasing. %, fuel on. So, through 45%, the starter should go out. Still on for now, let's keep monitoring that. Okay, the engine is stable now, and the starter went out, okay. So, engine number 3. Does take a little while, it seems, for the engine start procedure, but then again, it's an MD-11, so we've got an engine more than in any other. So, yeah. Okay, number 3. Fuel on. And the engine is coming up. So 45%, the start valve should close. Let's see if we can actually see that anywhere. The air page maybe? No, it doesn't look like it. Anything else where it might be useful to have a start valve? Probably not. I suppose we're just going to stick with the engine page and go ahead with the start of engine number 2. If anybody can see a start valve somewhere, do let me know. %. Fuel coming on. Alright, looks like we've got a good start. The warnings are going away, the engine has reached self-sustaining RPMs. Alright, starter is out, we've got 3 good engine starts. So, after start procedure, engine anti-ice is not required and off. APU, well, that's hidden up here, going off. Flaps set 10 degrees. And those are coming down. We've got the flap indicator on the primary flight display up here, which is interesting. Haven't seen that in many other aircraft, but the MD-11 and the 717 as well do have that. Okay, cool. So, then config page. That's down here. So, flight control track. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. And step trim we're going to set as per the MCDU. So that's going to be 2 units, so a little bit of trimming for us to do. And here we go. Okay, cool. With that, the after start procedure is complete. Let's go back to the engine page, and like that, we now just gotta make our way out of the parking spot over here. So let's do that. Taxi light on, park and brake off, and well, now comes the moment. Let's see what's gonna happen. I suppose we can't just reverse out, can we? I mean, we're surely not allowed to, but tell you what. Let's just see if it works. And it does. Nice. Okay, so that is obviously not realistic, but not having a pushback tuck is not realistic either, so I'm quite happy with that. So I'm just gonna back myself out of here. Okay, engines back to idle. Alright, that was not the smoothest way to do things, but you get where I'm going with this. Alright, cool. So, runway 35 right. We're parking down here. That means we gotta go straight at Quebec, Bravo or Charlie, Foxtrot, Delta, runway 35 right. Well, suppose we're going to take Charlie for this one. So, off we go. Clear left side, clear right side. Let's have a look on the outside. This is engines in idle thrust right now. And it is rolling nicely with idle. We are obviously rather light at the moment as well, so that probably helps it. Okay, let's add a little bit of power so that we get moving a bit quicker. Okay, power back to idle. Clear right side. Clear left side. It's a big airplane. We're sitting quite a bit in front of the landing gear, so we gotta oversteer on those turns in order to keep the mains on the center line. Something like this, I suppose. Let's see that from the outside. Yeah, overshot a tiny bit, but not too bad. Not too bad. We'll get there. Okay then, let's start going forward a little bit. So this is like almost 40% N1. The plane is accelerating nicely. Though it's not very quick to accelerate, let's do a little test. Let's give like 50% N1. I don't think you're actually allowed to use that much on taxi, but I just want to see what I can get out of my airplane. Yeah, that's a decent rate of acceleration there. So, that is okay. Then again, I don't know how the real MD-11 taxis, so I don't have any reference numbers on that. .30 knots ground speed looks good to me. When taxiing a large aeroplane like this one, always have a good look outside the cockpit. And it can be difficult to judge the speed at which you're going, because you're sitting so high over the ground. So right now, looking outside, this could be 30 knots, this could also be 20 knots. It would be very hard to make out the difference, so just have an eye on that. So, taxiway Foxtrot is coming up. Why is my airport chart gone? So, Foxtrot is where we want to go into. Let's start braking a bit. So, down to 10 knots for the turn. And again, oversteering technique. Okay, this is full tiller input right now. That is definitely not enough. But common MSFS problem, I'd say. Let's use a little bit thruster engine number 1. This is what it looks like from the outside now. So you can see we are slowly getting back onto the line. So look over that. And now look at where the nose wheel is. The nose wheel is on the line. So that just gives you an idea of how far behind you the nose wheel actually is on this plane. Alright, now let's increase thrust on the remaining 2 engines. And that looks good to me. Alright, we continue with the taxi. Something I do notice is when I'm going to idle thrust, it's pretty much maintaining its ground speed over here. I like that. I don't know if it's realistic. It probably is. Okay, now it's even slightly accelerating, even better. But let's make sure we stay below 30 knots of speed. Here we go. Okay, and after this, can we zoom or anything on the chart? Doesn't look like it, huh? No. We can. But that's fine. Alright, so we are gonna go into Delta, which I believe is the second taxiway. Actually, no, that's the runway already, so we gotta take the first one here. Well, then we need to brake a little bit harder now. Left side is clear. Right side is clear. Here we go, that looks better. Okay, so all the way to the end, and then we've reached the holding point. So while we taxi here now, let's quickly talk about the takeoff briefing. It's gonna be a left seat takeoff, runway 35 right, flaps 10, noise abatement procedure number 2, and a hybrid, accelerating at 1500 feet. Now, I'm not 100% sure what the airplane is gonna do with the acceleration at 1500 over here, whether that's gonna be 1500 AGL or 1500 barometric. In any case, we're going to see what the automatics are going to do. So our takeoff speeds 143, 161, 174, and our initial climb will just make 10,000. Then we don't have any problems with an early level off or something the likes. So strap 5 departure. That one we've got in here, so it's basically just straight out, slight left turn. Actually straight out, and initially later on then a light left hand turn, and that's it. No initial climb. Yeah, there is 5,000, but let's just make it 10,000 because we don't yet know how good the airplane is going to climb, so we just build a little bit of margin in for ourselves. Okay, cool. Then arming the spoilers, we got the green bar down there that basically indicates to us that we are all good to go. And I do believe we can take that hydraulic auxiliary pump off now, and then we can go ahead and line up on the runway. So, high intensity lights on, landing lights on. Here we go. Again, this is full tiller input, so the MD-11 definitely suffers from that MSFS problem, just like most other airliner atoms do. Okay, clear right side, clear left side. So we'll just about stop on the runway to check the, or to do the final check that everything is alright in the cockpit. So again, full tiller input that I'm doing right now. With a little bit of brakes it does work, so a little bit of differential braking, you can get it around the turns fine. Hopefully Asobo is going to solve that thing in the future. I really hope they are. Okay, 35 right, here we are. stopping on here. The wind is straight on the nose, 15 knots. Park and brake is set. By the way, did you notice how that brake pressure fluctuated there when we set the brake? See that? That's pretty nice. Nice little effect there. Okay, before takeoff checklists. GCP checked and verified on the FMA, correct runway on the nav display, 35 right. Then NEIs. Where's that? Over here. Wing NEIs off, engine as required off. I'm wondering why I'm still getting those lights up here. Probably not supposed to happen, but anyway. Okay, let's continue with the checklist. So, step trim is checked in green band. Okay, spoilers and brakes, armed and RTO. Flaps and slats. So, we've got 10 and 10 and 10. Right, takeoff data and box are checked. So, zero fuel weight is updated. EAD checked. We only got the brake message over here. That is fine for now. Then PA and chime is okay. We're flying a freighter, so we don't need to do any PA or give a chime. Okay, so lights are on. Okay, flight modes are nav armed, profile armed. And with that, the before takeoff checklist is complete. So, let's see. The takeoff, or the clear for takeoff checklist says high intensity pulse lights for takeoff are on. That's down here. The high intensity lights are on. Then, for the takeoff itself, thrust advanced to 70%. Auto flight button pressed. Check for toga power. Check takeoff thrust set. 80 knots. Check takeoff clamp on FMA. At VR, rotate to approximately 12 to 15 degrees. Positive rate, gear up, 400 feet. Roll mode is checked. 1000 feet, profile mode or level change. Auto flight at 1000 feet if bars look reasonable. 1500 feet, check climb power. Flaps up at FR speed, slats retract at SR speed. Okay, looks good to me. So let's give this one a try. Brakes off. We're showing the green band, that's looking good. And let's start the timer. So 70%, we'll stabilize it. Like that, take off. So you can see auto thrusters engaged. Thrust set, 80 knots, checked. And here we've got the clamp indication. V1. Rotate. Ooh, nose comes up quite quickly. Here we go, looking good. Positive climb, gear up. So 15 degrees, and now we'll follow the flight director. That is jumping around a little bit, that flight director, but it's alright. So, currently holding the nose up trim. And we've got 1000 feet above ground. Let's put on the autopilot. Here we go, AP1 is on. Accelerating, 1500 on the radio altimeter. Right, flaps retract. So watch it, flaps are coming up. Now we have only the slats out. And slats retract. Moving in. And here we go, slats are retracted. So, climb power is checked as well, and then let's have a very quick look outside. Isn't that looking beautiful? It's nice to see a long-haul airliner, isn't it? Looking really beautiful. Very nice to see that plane. Right, let's go back into the cockpit. Climb at like 3,000 feet a minute over here, that's alright. Off the takeoff checklist. Spoilers, disarmed, gear, no lights, auto brake selector, if we can reach it somehow, off. Okay, flaps and slats are up and retracted, and the EAD is checked, no alerts, after takeoff checklist complete. Alright, then let's continue our climb, and here we are, level 290. You will notice that above 10,000 it basically moves in steps of 500 feet, and below 10,000 it moves in steps of 100 feet, so that's a little specialty there of the MD-11 autoflight system. Okay, cool. So with that, we are on the climb. And about to reach 10,000. And above 10,000, we'll then have a look at some of the other parts of the airplane over here. Alright, passing 10. We'll keep the lights until 18, but we can turn the taxi light off. Also, seatbelt signs we'll put in auto. It's afraid of those, so not too much of a problem, really. Alright, cool. So, next up, at the transition level, we are going to do a couple more tracks, but until then, let's just take a little shortcut there. Direct Delta Quebec November or something the likes. Let's see if that works. Direct intersection, Delta Quebec November. And yeah, I wanted a beam point, why not? Okay, nothing happens when I hit that though. Well, tell you what, let's go direct. Here we go. Okay. Maybe we even go one step further to a tour. Yeah, let's give that a try. Let's see what happens. Direct tour with the beam points. Insert. Okay, that's our top of climb there, flight level 290. And that's our top of descent there, a little bit later now. But that should give us a nice little cruise of about 15 minutes or so. Time enough to explore the MD-11 and its interior. Okay, so we're now out on the climb. First thing that I do actually notice is down here we've actually got some auto-tuned VOR. Let's see if that actually matches with anything. It's tuned to Papa Bravo Oscar 273, 29 miles, so it should be somewhere over there. Well, can't see that, but if it says so, that's probably gonna be alright. Alright, cool. So, let's have a quick tour around the cockpit then, while we are still on the climb out. We just gotta remember at 18,000 we gotta set standard, and we're also going to turn the landing lights off when passing 18,000. In the meantime, why do we still get some alerts on the electrical there? Galley bus is showing off. We also got a couple alerts over here. We had those all the way on the ground. I kind of thought they are going to solve itself later on once we get airborne, but something seems to be missing. Is there any switch we should have hit, or anything we should have done that we didn't do? If anybody of you recognizes it at this point, then be sure to let me know in the comments below. Certainly I can't seem to find anything. But okay. Suppose it's fine. we'll just keep these things as they are for now. Okay. So, passing 16.5. You probably notice I'm trying to stall the tour of the cockpit until we're reaching 18,000, because otherwise I'm darn sure that I'm going to forget resetting those altimeters. And I just want to avoid that happening. I just really want to avoid that. So, in half a minute when passing 18,000, then we are going to start that cockpit tour. Alright, so, in the meantime, is there any way... No, we can't get that FMS on down here, but that's fine. But look at that, we can actually switch between magnetic and true north reference. That's quite cool. That is certainly going to be useful for transatlantic operations. Hey, passing 18,000, set standard. And obviously we're going to do that down here as well. Looking for 1013. Like that. It's on a cross-check, passing 18.9 now. Yeah, checked on primaries down here. Well, these indications don't seem right. There's something off on the standby altimeters. Like, look at the speed as well, reading 450 knots. We're doing 308 on on both primaries, so I do trust those primaries to be accurate. Probably something with the standbys that's still work in progress. Okay, passing transition altitude, let's turn the lights off as well. And a specialty of the MD-11, we have to turn the dial of flap selected to the 15 position now. So let's do that. Here we go, dial of flap 15. Is that added already? Yeah, here it is. Because we're going to use the 15 position on the approach. For that reason we're dialing it in flight. Alright, cool. So, with that we are pretty much done over here, and we can start having a little look around the airplane to see all the nice things we can actually find in it. Now, we're gonna start just having a look at the different textures of the cockpit and what everything looks like in here, and then we'll eventually move our way towards the cabin, which I can already tell you there is something in it as well. So, well, you already saw our standard pilot working area over here, but how about we have a look into some of the sections of the cockpit that you would normally not see that often, like over here. Having a look into where the pilots would typically put their bags and where they put their coats and stuff like that. So this is quite a nice level of detail that we've got on here, especially looking at the detail on here, so that's actually looking quite cool. What I also always like to have a look at is the cockpit door, and you can see that's really good quality on the texturing there. Also having a look at the former flight engineer seat on the DC-10, the observer seat on here. Very nice to see that we've actually got an observer table in here. That surely makes eating dinner much easier for the check captains on your annual line check. Also some very nice texturing up there on the circuit breakers, even though none of them is operable. Which, however, let's be honest, over here is quite expected. So, that much for the circuit breakers. Yeah, and that much for cockpit, really. So that's what it looks like, the MD-11. Very nice to see something very different in the simulator. And I have to say, the MD-11 cockpit looks really, really good. It is up to par with pretty much most other models that I've flown in this simulator. Certainly up to par with the 737 and the A320, which is very good news for all the MD fans and all the long haulers out there. So, with that seen, let's now go ahead and have a look at the cabin of our plane. So, moving backwards, unfortunately right now there doesn't seem to be any way to open that cockpit door, but we can walk through it, and we can see that they have been working on the entry area over here as well. The front wall of it is still missing right now, but I'm sure that that's going to be added. And if you just have a look at the supernumerary seats that we have up here, that's some really good quality of the modeling. So let's just really go close up. And if you look at that, really good model and really good texturing as well. So I'm sure that with a little more updates, we are eventually going to get a very, very good looking interior of the MD-11. Now let's go ahead and move a little bit into the cargo space. Right now we can't seem to remove the net over here, but let's just walk straight through it. And this is what the cabin looks like. Overall, once again, really high quality modeling in the cargo cabin. And looking down on the ground, let's have a look at the details of the loading area. So this is where you would typically put a container into position. These little rolls up there can be used to navigate the container pretty much anywhere you want it to be in your airplane. And I'm mentally trying to remember the other aircraft we had, the other freighters, but I do tend to say that this is probably the most detailed cargo area I've seen in a simulated airplane in a long time. It's probably the most detailed I've seen in any simulator yet, so that's quite cool. Also nice to see are those lights we've got up here and the air conditioning duct leading to the back of the airplane. So some really cool modeling that we've got in the MD-11 up here. Let's have a quick look into the structure of the door back here. So this is where the door would slide up into. Really cool to see that modeled. Really is. So that's a very, very good modeling done in the cabin of the TFDI MD-11, I have to say. Really good modeling. That's really impressive. Some small detail left. It would be nice if the cockpit door was operable and the forward wall of the entry area is currently not textured. But apart from that, really impressive modeling in here. I do hope TFDI is going to continue down that road and fix that last remaining texture down there. Also, have a look at all those signs that we're seeing down here. Again, really good quality of the modeling. Would be nice if they had a little feature to take that net off over here so that you can actually walk into the cabin area or into the cargo area properly. Alright, so what's that? Crew only. Oh, that's probably going to be the loo, is it? Well, can't seem to open the door, but what happens if we walk in here? Oh, look at that! There is actually a little loo in here. Even though it's probably not what it's meant to be like, but that's nice, that's nice. Okay, well, with that little hole down there, we are certainly going to keep that door closed. Would be nice if they added the toilet in here, but I'm probably asking too much. Alright, so that little black wall over here is the only thing that really comes to my mind that needs an upgrade in the cabin. Apart from that, cabin is looking really, really good. And that same thing goes for the cockpit over here. Again, very high level of detail, beautiful textures, and TFDI really did a good job on that. Okay, cool. So we're en route. We've reached a cruising level of 290, so I suppose we are going to take a seat again and have a look over the FMS and its abilities and some of the stuff that we can find in the FMS. Now, before we start that, let me just add that the FMS is a known work in progress with the MD-11, so if things aren't perfect in here yet, then don't be surprised, they are working on it. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is recorded with the very first release of the Collector's Edition. So technically speaking, this is an early beta that we are flying at the moment. Alright, with that said though, let's have a look at the FMS of the TFDI MD-11. Currently on flight plan page here, and we can see all our predictions are basically done down here. Tells us everything it wants to fly. Looks like it's also respecting the constraints down here, which is very good. And those ETAs down here do seem to make sense as well. If we go to the next page, then, well, we didn't insert any wind or temperature data, so that's expected. And those are the distances of the waypoints in question. Okay. So that's pretty much what we've got down here. Let's have a look at the progress page then. From turning point, because we went direct, remember, to Shanks, next Hannibal, temperature 15. Is that true? No, it's -7. Do we have a static air temperature somewhere in this plane? Probably do, but I just don't know where. Well, in any case, it looks like that it's probably not currently simulated. Also, that UFOB. I haven't heard the UFOB yet, but it's got to have something to do with fuel on board. 37,500, and in here it's 81. Again, probably a placeholder. Thinking back to TFDI's 717 release back in the P3D days, that's been like 2017 or 2018. On the very first version, the FMS was a little bit of a skeleton, but later on they really brought it up to a very good level, so I'm very positive they're going to do the same with this one over here. Things like the times still being added, I'm sure they're going to do that. Alright, navrat page, well, we're just leaving it on automatic at the moment. Performance. So we've got econ speed 0.787. Is that a coincidence? Optimum flight level 341, maximum 398. Let's see if we get access to the thrust limit page. Yes, we do. Okay, and then back to performance mode. What else do we have? Next page. Pre-select descent. Yeah, we are just gonna keep those speeds as they are. Transition 18,000 looks good. Descent forecast is currently not simulated. Okay, so that's the performance page right now. Fix page. Let's try and play with that. Let's just take our destination. KDT double. Oh, what happened now? Probably just made that clear button stick. So here we go, DTW. And we're radial, or our inbound course should be 031. That it is. And it's just drawn a ring over it as well. Nice. Now just for the sake of it, if we put like a 200 course in here, is that gonna do anything? No, okay. Well, that's fine. That's fine. In that case, let's clear it out again. And that's it. Secondary flight plan again, that's just a copy of the active right now. Don't have much more use for it. Alright, cool. So, flight plan in it. Well, that's probably not supposed to show en route anyway, so let's not bother with that. Okay, ACAS, again not accessible. Nav 8. Oh yeah, over here we can deselect Nav 8s, so that they're no longer used in case they are faulty, for example. Alright. Sensor status, we got anything in there? Well, okay, this is ACAS, nothing. ADAS, nothing. CFDS, also nothing. But that's fine. That's all just stuff that you don't really need to play with all the time, is it? Okay, cool. So that is pretty much our little look at the flight management computer down there. The stuff that we need for the flight is there, and well, suppose that's the most important stuff. Well, let's see something more though. Let's see if we do have an offset here. So we've got star holding, procedure turn, airways, offset. Let's see, 1 mile right off track? No? Maybe R1? Also no. Maybe because we are doing it on a revision from a past waypoint. What if we do it from Shanks? Can we do it there? Next waypoint, new destination, new company route. Okay, no, we can't. That's fine. We basically have what we wanted anyway. So, would be nice if offset were to be implemented soon, seeing that this is a transatlantic aircraft and that transatlantic flights are basically always done using strategic lateral offset procedures. So it would be nice if SLOP came with a future version. I'm sure it will. TFDI, again, remembering the MD-11, remembering the 717, did a very good job on that stuff. So I'm sure that that kind of stuff is going to come eventually. Okay then, let's have a look into our charts to prepare for our arrival. So, KDTW, search, star. Here we go, that looks more like it. Okay, Hannibal 3 on of arrival. Perfect, that is what we want to take. And we... okay. Well, tell you what, we don't have a possibility to pin a chart here at the moment, it seems, so we're just gonna do it like that. Okay. Just wondering, I don't seem to be able to look around anymore. Did my view freeze? Yeah, here it works again. Okay. Not sure what that was. Might have been one of those Microsoft Flight Simulator odd-isms. So, Hannibal 3 on of arrival. Let's have a quick look. We're starting out at Hannibal, if I'm not mistaken. What are we in on to? No, we're flying to Shanks, and they're after Hannibal. Okay. So Shanks is up here, then Hannibal between 17 and 210 at 280 knots. Let's see what we got there. At or above 210, at or below. Yeah, that's interesting. At or above 210, at or below 170. Now that can't work. And descent speed limit 275 at 10,000. Suppose that's fine. What is it doing right now? Oh, I think that was a wind shift. I think the simulator had one of its famous wind shifts again. Okay, so let's ignore that. I'll tell you what. 255 down there looks about fine, so I wonder if that data key should show us the restrictions on the navigation display, but whether it should or not, that top of descent seems plausible, so we'll just have a look on that as we go down. Well, let's have a very quick look at the airport overview, just to check that our choice for landing runway is fine. So we're looking for the cargo area on here, and down here are passenger terminals, up here are passenger terminals. So it doesn't look like there is a cargo area right over here. But we said landing runway is going to be 2 to right, I believe. Yeah, 2 to right. Okay, that's going to be fine. So we'll be landing down here and going to vacate somewhere around Alpha 2 or so, I believe. And then what I'm quickly going to do, or what I'm always doing when I can't find something that I'm looking for, is check Flight Radar 24 and check the real-life flight associated with the one that I want to do in the sim. So that is what I'm going to do up here as well. So Louisville to Detroit, and I've just about looked that up on Flight Radar 24. And they are parking actually all the way over there. This is where they're parking. Okay, so landing 2 to right is going to be a very long taxi then. Well, tell you what, I'm just going to leave that stuff in because I don't want to mess with the FMS just prior to a top of descent. How far are we out? Yeah, like 5 miles. I don't want to reinsert a completely new arrival now. We'll keep the arrival as it is, and we are then just going to... We're then just simply going to taxi all the way around. Suppose that's gonna be fine. The last real-world flight just did a visual onto 2-1 left, but we want to check the autoflight's capabilities on this one, so we're just going to keep it as it is. Okay, now the big question, we're approaching top of descent. Do we need to press profile button, yes or no? Well, let's just overflight, and then we'll press profile shortly thereafter. Oh, here we go, we didn't even need to press it. It automatically started the descent. Got our vertical deviation information over here. And we're descending. Nice. Okay, 17,000 automatically came on there. See, we selected 10,000 over here. 17 in here because that is our initial lowest restriction on the star. Okay, so let's just have a quick look. We are looking for an ILS approach, runway 22. We don't need the PRM approach, we need an ILS approach to... I don't even have that in here. Can we somehow scroll up or down on this? Looks like there's too many charts for the too many approaches here. Well, I can't seem to move that somehow. Alright, yeah, now I can. Interesting. How did that work? Okay, looks like can't really see it, but clicking to the right over there, you can move your way up or down in the list of charts. So that's good. Okay, ILS 2. Here it is, ILS Zulu 2 to right. That is what we've chosen. Okay, minimums 842. So let's go at minimums. Here it is. Just want to make sure that we're actually dialing in a barrel minimums, not a radio. So what's the plane doing? Not supposed to climb. Please keep descending. Alright, and we are descending again. So, can we switch it between barrel and radio somehow? Let's see, right now it's on radio. Oh, now it's on barrel. Okay. But still showing radio up here on the PFD. Well, tell you what, it's 200 foot radio, so let's just dial in 200 radio and that's it. If anybody found out how to do that correctly, do let me know. But like that, we're just going to work with 200 radio and that's going to be good as well. Alright, and I do believe that is most of our preparation complete, so let's move back to those stars and I want to check if we are actually crossing those waypoints where we are supposed to. So Honeyball should be between 17,000 and flight level 210. For the speed restriction, we already talked about it, that that wasn't in the FMS, so if it's disregarding the speed restriction, then we are then we can't blame it for that because it didn't have it in the database in first place. Obviously, getting it into the database would be something that I would hope for a future update. Okay, descent checklist. FMS MCDU set for descent and arrival. Landing data. We can quickly cross-check that over here. So, let's see. Flaps 35 or flaps 50? I suppose we're gonna... Well, that's high approach speeds here. But that's the MD-11. It really flies that quick. So, we're gonna do flap 35 landing with an approach speed of 162 knots. Looks like it's not calculated clean speeds for us over there. What about the landing weight? 451.3. That seems a lot. Well, when we left the payload page, we had that information about what we actually have on board. Looks like when we're getting back onto it, though, it resets to the input screen. Would be nice if they could update that for a future version. Okay, we're passing Honeyball and we're in 222, which is a bit too high. Should have been in 210 or less. So that's probably something for them to have another look at. Okay, so Prowler. Let's check that. At or above 15,000, at or below 12,000. Well, and it should be between 15 and 12. Interesting. This should be at or below, and this should be at or above in terms of the altitude restrictions. So that's interesting. That is interesting. Okay, well, let's see where we're actually going to be, though. We're a little bit above the profile, so I'm going to use a bit of speed brake there. Here we go. That's a third of speed brake. Let's see how much of an effect that has. That's it, you can see... Yeah, here they are. Okay, looks like we start receiving some ILS data. Okay, the profile is slowly coming back in. So approaching Prowler, we should be below 15,000. And the profile is over there, well, like 3,500 high. And that is not 3,500 feet deviation down there. The limit should be 400 if I'm not mistaken, but then again I might be mistaken, so if anybody knows of the MD-11, then do let me know. Alright, so we're passing transition altitude. Let's go ahead and reset the altimeters. 2997. And then we can also put the lights on. Welcome to the USA. Alright, so what's that? Simulator freezing? Okay, here we go again. Looks like that was just a standard Microsoft Flight Simulator thingy. Alright. So, still above the profile. Well, in that case, we're gonna need a little bit more of a speed brake. Let's give it full. Here we go. Man, that's a rate of descent there. 6,000 feet a minute. Look at that from the outside. If you need to go down, that thing certainly can. Right. That is what full speed brakes look like. Wow. That's not a lot. And look at the effect that this has. 5,000 feet a minute, stable. We're about to catch the profile again down there. Well, let's put those seatbelt signs on now. It's not like we had any passengers on board, but you never know if you've got a stowaway. Maybe those at least care. Probably not, though. Okay, so below 10,000, as I mentioned, now you can dial it in steps of hundreds. So let's go down to something like 5,000. Okay, back on profile. But I tell you what, let's go in an open descent here, if we can somehow. Nope. Don't level off, please. I need to pull the button out, but... Okay, now I'm in idle mode. This is interesting, though. Okay, speed target going back to 245 as we're approaching 10,000. Then let's just pre-select a heading here, maybe something... Oh, we can't pre-select. Okay, didn't expect that. Thought that would work, but doesn't matter too much. Let's just do it like that then. Looking for a heading of 040 for our downwind. And on here you can go direct to, nudged. And inbound course, let's see, what's that? Approach. Where is that chart? Zulu, 22 right. 216 the track. Okay, it doesn't accept that. Let's try 216 like that. Okay, looks like radial in isn't implemented yet. In that case, yeah, let's just make direct nudged. Like that, it's not perfect, but alright. Okay, cool. So, we've got some checklists to run. Transition altitude, altimeter set local, they are. And 10,000 above field elevation, landing lights on, and sterile cockpit chime. Well, again, we are not flying a passenger aircraft, so we don't need that. Right, I'm gonna do a little bit more speed brake so that we actually get to lose our altitude quicker and can turn final in a few moments then. Okay, the platform is in 2,000 only. Well, nudged at 3,000, so let's go down to 3,000. Here we go. Okay, max landing weight 471.5. Well, not supposed to be above that. But why did this move to 490 now? Was 451 in the flight, wasn't it? Well, gross weight 491. Is that true? Are we really that heavy? If anybody plans to go back a little bit in the live stream and have a look at when we loaded up the plane as to what we actually had there, that'd be grand. I mean, we could probably just go here, have a look. Zero fuel weight 451.3 plus 33.7 is 485. So that's a little heavy over there. Well, and all of that is a lot below, or is a lot above those weights that SimBrief suggested, but I suppose it's going to work either way. Let's just update that direct over here. Oh, we can't. Okay. Okay, so it's interesting. When in the MD-11 you basically pre-select the heading and then you've got to pull the button again in order to actually fly there. That's something that I haven't seen in any other aircraft, but on this one works pretty well. So in order to pull it, you just click the knob and then move the mouse downwards, and then with that you basically pulled it. Okay, approaching 1,000 to go. That's set. My vertical speed minus 1,000, and you can see it here on the primary flight display as well. Okay, we're well below the slot extension speed and still pretty fast, so tell you what, so let's extend. Here we go. That going to reduce the target though? I'm crossing a localizer. I didn't realize we drifted in that much. Well, in that case, heading 250 a re-intercept. The big question is just, when is our speed target going to start decreasing? And that one I'm really not 100% sure of, so tell you what, let's go and take the speed manually. So speed is gonna start reducing now. Still have anything on here? Yeah, Getter is still out there. Launch should be somewhere over there, so should be intercepting the ILS nicely. Okay, flaps 15. It's showing 14 right now. Probably want to make sure that we get 15, so let's just move to the dial of flap selector, monitor it on the FO's display there. Oh, that's flap 0 now. Why is that? Just above 15. Okay, something seems to be acting there. Let's just remove the selector back to flaps 1. Here we go. That's flaps 15 now. That is alright. Okay. Approach is armed, and we have localizer capture. A little early, if you ask me. If that's the center line. Yeah. Let's see what it's gonna do. And let's make sure we don't get too slow. What if we go back to FMS? Okay, that looks better. 175 knots now. That is alright. So look at that. The localizer mode has set course pretty much direct to Getter now. I wonder how that's working internally. Because it should be going a little bit further to the right, onto 250 heading or so. But what happens if we just go back into heading mode? If we can. Here we go, heading 250. Let's just get a little bit closer to the actual localizer and then we'll try the approach mode again, see what's gonna happen. Glide slope's coming alive. That's interesting now, we still see land armed on here. Alright, let's go down 2000. Vertical speed. Okay, here we go. Okay, now we should be intercepting the ILS any moment again. We're 7 miles out. Localizer alive. Approach mode is armed again. So we're probably going slightly through it now, but I believe this should be the nicer intercept, really. Okay, let's fly ourselves slowly into the glide. Runway is in sight down there. Okay, gear down. Flaps 28. Quite a crosswind that we got there. Glide slope capture. So, missed approach altitude, 4,000. Set. What's that? Auto brake off. Okay. Then we're gonna go auto brake min. That looks better. Okay, auto land is armed. Okay, flaps 35. We're not going to do an auto land though. But I just want to keep the autopilot on until we are fully configured. Just to be checked. Just to see how it's operating and stuff. Okay, getting a little slow right now. But it's correcting nicely for it. Okay. So, spoilers are armed, and with that, our landing checklist should be completed. Very quick look there before landing. Gear, 4 green, slats and flaps. Set for landing, spoiler handle is armed, auto brake set, missed approach altitude 4,000 set. So that should be a checklist complete. Alright.
Autopilot.
So let's see how that is going to work out. 500 continue.
400. 400.
15 knots from the right.
Approaching minimum.
Checked. So let's try keep on that glide slope.
Minimum.
Continue.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay, we're down. What is auto thrust doing? Okay, I had to trip it off manually. Man, stay down please. The nose keeps coming up. We still don't have reverse thrust. Okay, max manual braking. Auto brake disarm. Look at that. Even though I'm holding my key to go into reverse thrust, it's not doing it. Well, that was interesting. I'm holding F2, which is my key to reduce thrust, but it's not going into reverse. This is quite tight. Okay, that was interesting. That auto brake didn't seem to work. And likewise, I couldn't get it into reverse, and it wouldn't retard the thrust levers automatically. If you saw it, it kept the thrust on upon touchdown. Well, we made it onto the ground, so note to myself, in future, all landings manual thrust. Alright, cool, so runway is vacated, now we gotta taxi a long way around, so got a little bit of time to talk about the impressions from the first flight. Yeah, just going to follow the taxiway down here, and it's still giving like 40% N1. no surprise that we had problems with the runway length here. It was like what, 10,000 foot runway, so shouldn't have had any problems, but let's go over that and analyze what just happened in the aftermath. First though, let's go ahead with the after landing and clearing of the runway procedures. So landing lights can come off, taxi light can come on, high intensity lights going off, slats and flaps are going to go up and retracted. Okay, spoiler lever was down already, perfect. So, stabilizer set 3 units up. Look at that, it was at 14 units up. No surprise the nose went up after touchdown. So we're gonna set 3 units up as per the manual. The weather radar is off, and then we'll start the APU once we've done that turn coming up right now. Okay, taking that turn a little bit faster, and then we are just going to go all the way first to the right, and then next to that runway, and finally into the cargo spot down here, next to the general aviation hangar. Okay, so still on the go. So next to the right then. Okay. Auto brake off and APU start. Okay, can watch the APU start down there. Might need to make it a video resolution of 4K in order to be able to read the numbers, but I need to be able to look outside as we're taxiing, so my apologies for that being a little bit slow, or a little bit small I should say. Okay, cool, so with that our checklist is initially completed, so let's go over my first impression of the flight. Clear on both sides, let's continue the taxi. So, my first impression then. Well, we need to keep in mind this is somewhat of a first beta version, so TFDI sold it as collector's edition and basically early access, and that's essentially what it is really. Over my like 13-14 years now in flight simulation, I have almost 14 now that I think about it. Over my 14 years in flight simulation, I have tested quite a couple of betas and first betas as well, so let's see it in that light. And in that light I have to say, it is a pretty promising add-on. It really is. Now, let's go into a couple more details. We could basically do our first flight from A to B, and it basically got us where we wanted to go. So, the lateral navigation worked pretty well. It followed the flight plan just as it should. The only thing that was a little bit odd there was the localizer interception, but I suppose TFDI might probably be using the standard Microsoft Flight Simulator code for that, and we all know how that works or doesn't work. Continuing on from there though, if we think about the VNAV, then I don't think the problem was that we couldn't, that the profile didn't work, but I think the problem was that the airplane just didn't have the restrictions in the FMS. So it had some conflicting information there from the nav data, and then obviously it's no surprise that VNAV is not following those restrictions from the chart. So with a bit of luck, when they're able to read those databases correctly, those things are going to be solved. So there's a good chance that the VNAV problem that we had on the arrival, that it disregarded the restrictions, could be solvable quite easily. Now, apart from that, when we did hand fly the plane, it was quite touchy, but that is exactly what I've heard from most MD-11 pilots. So I'll just put that down as correct, and I don't have any evidence that it wouldn't be. So that's that. Apart from that, sounds are still a work in progress. As you can see right now, there's still some stuff that's missing. And looking into TFDI's history with their 717, I'm fairly sure they are going to deliver a very good sound pack when the time has come that they could have a look into that. Okay, apart from that, the visual model on the outside could use a little bit more work. On the inside, it looks absolutely stunning, so I'm really happy with that. Okay, I do believe that that is pretty much my summary, and I do believe that is a fair summary for the MD-11. Remembering that it is the first version, we need to keep in mind that it's in development, but for a first version, it is looking pretty promising. I'm pretty sure that in about a year or so from now, we are going to have an exciting and fun MD-11 to fly, and ultimately, that is what counts, isn't it? So, going to do a backtrack of the runway now. Cargo stands are over there. A little backtrack here. Like that. Okay, entering runway 3 right. High intensity lights coming on. That's basically the strobe lights. At least should be. Okay then. So, first taxiway to the right, and then we go all the way to the end. Okay, down to 10 knots. Okay, that's a full tiller input right now. Now I'm using differential braking to get it across the corner. Looks good. Okay, approaching the apron, let's keep the speed at about 15 knots or so. Go a tiny bit faster, that's fine as well, as long as it is just a couple of knots. Okay, we'll not take this one, but we're gonna go to the next parking, but you can see the UPS warehouse over there already. So, the APU should be running by now. Why don't we get any APU indications? Well, let's park it first and then APU second. Okay. Don't have a marshaller here since GSX is refusing to work. So we just gotta help ourselves with a look outside. Here we go. And just taxiing a little further forward. Okay, I do believe this is somewhat alright. Cool, so that's the park brake set. Then let's just check why the APU isn't running. We did press that button, did we? APU start. Well, we just gotta give it time to start up then. We might obviously just do it the dirty way and just go for services and connect the ground power unit as well. Then we wouldn't even need the APU, but tell you what, for the fun of it, let's just have it start up and then we shut it down the correct way. Okay, that's the APU running. So, brakes, set a park, seatbelts. Off, external power established. Interesting that they say external power established in the checklist at that point. So I do suppose we're just going to turn on the ground power as well. Can we actually put on both? No, we can't. So it's going to be external power then. Doesn't matter. Okay, external power on. Fuel switches. 1, 2, 3. Let's watch it spool down. And let's listen to it as well. Here we go. Okay, so cargo temps off, anti-ice off, engine ignition off, exterior lights all off except for the nav light, so that means beacon can go off, logo off, high intensity off, and those are off. So emergency light off. Engine max pointers check for exceedances, and that, well, seems to look alright to me. Okay, cool. Status page. Checked. And this is all associated with our current system configuration, so everything's looking good. Okay, emergency power switch off, windshield anti-ice and defog all off. Well, now the defog is off. IRS is coming off, and the cockpit lights are set as required, and that's the parking checklist complete. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for our first flight in the TFDI MD-11. I do hope you like this one, and as said, my first impression of it, it is still a beta at this moment. Remember, it's the first edition of the Collector's Edition, so it is a beta, and for the first beta, it does certainly look quite promising. We'll have to see how things are going to evolve over the 60 days of Collector's Edition early access right now, and what the public release is going to offer in the aftermath. The airplane is available as a pre-purchase from the TFDI website right now, and if you want, you can buy it now. Otherwise, you can obviously wait until its final release. In any case, visually, it's looking absolutely stunning. And I'm really hoping that it's going to come up to that same level in terms of the systems as well. But thinking back to TFDI 717, I'm pretty sure that it actually will. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you liked it. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. Looking forward to read your take on this one, and then I see you all again on the next one. In the meantime, if you liked the video, be sure to leave a like on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you all again on the next one.